Hey, what's up guys? In this video I'm going to be running down the 7 connections I want to see between Batman Arkham and Rocksteady Suicide Squad game. It was confirmed by the press and Sefton Hill, game director over at Rocksteady, that this game is going to be connected fully to Batman Arkham, which means this Superman that we see descend before the Suicide Squad is actually the Superman that Batman Arkham Batman knows and has worked with in the Justice League. So really cool. We don't have the timeline yet, but this video is going to be breaking down the 7 things I want to see in terms of the connection between Batman Arkham and Rocksteady Suicide Squad. So, being completely honest, when I first heard about Rocksteady making a Suicide Squad game, my reaction was a bit mixed. Not because I don't think they can make a fantastic Suicide Squad game, but it's because I think for all of us, we felt that maybe after Batman Arkham, they were going to go into Superman. And the thing with Superman that really pains fans, and I know this for a fact, people are upset because Rocksteady, they feel, is the only studio that can actually do a Superman game correctly. You know, it's been tried many times, probably upwards of a dozen times, and all of those Superman games are total stinkers. I mean, they're shit. Just how bad are Superman's games? Well, YouTuber Puck015 says it much better than I ever could. Let's throw it over to him for a second.
This game has the worst reputation in the history of gaming as far as I'm concerned. At least from what I've read anyway. Well, let's fire this fucker. Holy god, this game looks bad. Wow. I mean, I'm not saying the N64 had amazing visuals. I mean, it had some good games, but what the fuck am I looking at? This is like somebody got high, threw up all over the fucking counter, and they decided, yeah, we're gonna make that into game visuals. Hey, Bob, run that through the stereo. I mean, holy fuck. So yeah, supposedly all you do in this game is fly through rings, and that is all I'm doing. Well, not even that. You see, it seems like Superman was drinking a lot last night because all he keeps doing is crashing into the side of fucking buildings!
The problem is, we feel like only Rocksteady can save us. They're the only ones that can give us a good Superman game. Why aren't they doing it? I feel like a Superman game would have been replicating the model that they had built for Batman Arkham and just applying it to Superman. With his combat, not so much because you have flying and the combat is entirely different. But I mean in terms of the storytelling and structuring the way the story and side quests and all that, like they would have just copy and pasted the Batman Arkham formula onto Superman. And I think that this is the game that they wanted to do and they brought to WB. That is like the hearsay. It's not official or anything like that. But I think that Superman is actually a great step for them because it's a great step between doing a game like Superman and Justice League. Because Batman, you know, he has no powers. He has no special abilities. It's quite easy, relatively speaking, compared to Superman to develop a combat system for him because he's somewhat grounded in the real world of like an MMA fighter game or some action RPG game. Making a Superman game is incredibly difficult for those reasons and given the logistical and design challenges. This is definitely a departure from Batman Arkham, but in a good way because now they're making a comedy game. This is something entirely different than what we saw from Batman Arkham, and this is a great stepping stone for them to start sort of interfacing with characters, designing gameplay mechanics for characters with supernatural abilities, but not yet to the extent of Superman, so it's a good stepping stone for them. I'm very confident that you know, within the next couple decades, we will be seeing a Rocksteady Superman game. We might have to wait a little bit, as I mentioned, but I'm totally fine with Suicide Squad as this next step. And the game also just looks fantastic in terms of the trailer and whatnot. So, descending in no particular order, number 7, the connection between Harley Quinn and the Joker explored further. So, we've seen in many animated movies, graphic novels, comic books, etc., that have perfectly nailed the relationship and dynamic between Harley and the Joker. And in Arkham Asylum, they quickly established that this is a very submissive character, not like Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn in the sense where she's much more independent than someone like Batman Arkham Harley. So they kind of established her mythos and what she looks like, and that gives her a chance for character growth in the new game wherein she's much more independent, coping with the loss of the Joker. And that's exactly what I would like to see, is flashback scenes between her and the Joker and exploring that relationship and what it looked like in the Arkhamverse, how exactly they met. We saw a little bit in Arkham Origins, some teasers and flashbacks there, but I would like to see a lot more of Harley Quinn's upbringing in particular, with a focus on her, but also some other flashback scenes with the Joker in this game would be incredible, and we can easily connect with not only the voice actors, who's exactly the same from the Batman Arkham games, into this game, but also just, you know, Mark Hamill returning to play the Joker for a couple scenes. That would be absolutely incredible and elevate this game to a whole nother level. So, number 6, get flashbacks of other Batman Arkham characters that might be lesser known. So, in this category, I'm really thinking of Aaron Cash, Warden Quincy Sharp, who is a Batman Arkham creation, Penelope Young from Arkham Asylum, these characters that started at all the Rocksteady extended video game universe, Gotham Knights, and all of W Montreal's other games are totally disconnected from Rocksteady's video game universe. And as a result of that, I'm very interested to see how this game is going to intertwine with those characters, and if we're going to see an evolution of the Batman Arkham world and getting to check in on Gotham. I would love to actually go into Gotham. You know, this trailer starts in Metropolis, but what if we have another entire chapter of the game that takes place in Gotham, in Arkham City? We have Harley Quinn revisiting Arkham, so I'm just so excited to see the references and allusions and other things like that, Easter eggs referring to the Batman Arkham games. Maybe we could even return to Sionis Steel Mill in this game with the new combat that they have for this game. So much potential there. Can't wait to see what they can pull off with that. And it can be subtle. Even have Aaron Cash show up as a guard for Bella Reeve in Louisiana. That would be a nice little Easter egg to throw in there. It could be something small, but if you want to go big with it too and really pay homage to the Arkham games, that is something I and many others would be a huge fan of. Number 5, Kevin Conroy as Batman returning. So we know at the end of Arkham Knight, we initiated the Nightfall Protocol. The Wayne Manor was destroyed, and many people thought that Bruce Wayne, who they actually knew to be Batman because he was unmasked by the Scarecrow, and presumed Bruce Wayne to be dead. And of course, we know that likely is not the case given the Scarecrow bat scene in the final moments of the game, and it seems like an ending that is very similar to The Dark Knight Rises. But of course, we don't know 100% for sure. Perhaps those people on the ground floor there were not seeing the real Batman, and they were hallucinating from somebody else, and Scarecrow somehow survived the ending of the game. There's all kinds of crazy things you can come up with. But realistically, we know Batman is not dead in the Arkham universe. And as a result of that, it would be great to see where he's at in this universe. And let's say this game takes place before the events of Arkham Knight. Then it'd be even interesting to see what Batman was up to between those events of City and Night. And if it is after Night, I would love to see the Scarecrow Bat show up, at least have an Easter egg or teaser or something like that alluding to him. But ideally, Kevin Conroy's Batman returning. Again, flashback scenes also totally acceptable. But it would be great to get Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill in on this game, even just for a few scenes. That would be amazing. Number 4, I would like to see Commissioner Gordon, and in some way he could be relevant to the story. Now, Amanda Waller is associated with the United States federal government, and obviously that is not the case for Jim Gordon, who's a local official, local politician, local, police chief, whatever. And perhaps he could be promoted in some way to like the Department of Homeland Security, something like that, and can have interactions with Amanda Waller, or Amanda Waller visits Gotham somehow, some way, and they're intertwined. I really liked what they did in Batman the Telltale series season 1, where we actually got to see Commissioner Gordon and Amanda Waller fight for power and control of Gotham and the GCPD. I would like to see more of that. That's kind of actually sampling this entire suggestion for number 4 here. So I would love to see more scenes with those two characters. It might be a little bit difficult to pull off, but they should be able to do that, and Commissioner Gordon would be a great character to see, even if Bruce Wayne is not really in the game. He's a character that stands on his own, and it'd be very interesting to see him. Number 3, the Batfamily. Obviously, with Gotham Knights coming, those characters, that Batgirl, that Nightwing that we see is not in any way connected to Batman Arkham, but we do have the Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl / Oracle of the Batman Arkham games who could appear. Now imagine you're just randomly, doing a mission in Bloodhaven to take out Nightwing, or you're tasked to kill him by Amanda Waller, or perhaps they show up to try to defend the Justice League. Even though the Justice League is under Brainiac's control, they still want to prevent the Suicide Squad. They want to incapacitate Superman but not kill him, as the Justice League are tasked to do. So deductively, perhaps they could appear and you could have an interaction with the Batfamily. Now, there are some negatives about that. For instance, Robin and Batgirl are married by this point, which is really weird. And so there are a few missteps they took with the Batfamily, but overall the Batfamily is fantastic in the Batman Arkham games, excluding that one mess up. And it would be great to see them in the game, and it's something that I actually have hope could happen. Now, I'm not saying that it's 100% going to happen or anything like that, but I would love to see it. Now, number 2, DEADSHOT'S background and origin story. Now, this is something that caused a little bit of a controversy online, as we may say, because the character is race-bended, and that's something that some people were really upset by. Now, here's the thing. I mean, in Arkham City, we really got very little of Deadshot. I know in Arkham Origins, he also was in that trailer and was in the game a very tiny amount. He's not in the game very much in Arkham City. This is not like a very reputable character. Also, we have to look back to Scarecrow, who looks entirely different from his appearance in Arkham Asylum to Arkham Knight. I mean, his skin color is the same, but pretty much everything else about him looks like something from a completely different universe that otherwise would not be canon at all. So I think Rocksteady is utilizing the comics model where characters are canon, even if, several years ago a new artist takes over and there's a change in art design and the characters look completely differently in the comics, just in the way that they look in every way. And nonetheless, it is still canon. That stuff is very common in comics. This is not something that particularly I thought was a big deal. Moreover, I mean, clearly the reason why they're doing it is to emulate and borrow from the Will Smith Deadshot, and that is the mainstream popularity of the character. You have to consider that the Suicide Squad is not nearly as popular as the Batman Arkham franchise in terms of a general marketing appeal. Now, this game could very easily, and I hope that it does, outsell Arkham. But on a base level, if you tell, 100 people, hey, I've got a Batman game, a brand new Batman game for you, and you tell 100 other people, hey, I have a new Suicide Squad game for you, it might be a little bit of a tougher sale for Suicide Squad because they're lesser known. I would say they're a B-list team, whereas Batman is the peak of the peak A-list character, right? So, given all that context, they might have a little bit of a difficulty sort of escaping the huge shadow that Will Smith has cast on that character as well. And I think this is just more something that's not overly big of a deal. I do understand people pointing out the inconsistencies, and those opinions are valid, and I respect them. And I definitely see that side of it, where it's like, hey, these characters, like, how am I supposed to believe that this is the same person, unless they did like a reverse Michael Jackson type of thing? I mean, how is this working here, and how am I supposed to sort of suspend my disbelief when playing Arkham City, and you're really trying to convince me that this character is somehow the same as this character? I totally understand both sides on that. I think it's more just something that it's not something that is really a huge deal to focus on in my view. And as I mentioned with Scarecrow and other characters, their appearances totally change to the point that the previous model is kind of unrecognizable. It happens a lot, and it's not something that I think we should worry too much about, if I'm being completely honest. But I also am kind of like anal about the canon and like making sure everything is 100% the same. And even I was like one of the people where the Scarecrow thing between Asylum and Knight, I was like, these two aren't the same characters. Like, they look completely different, blah, blah, like, it's not canon. So like, I've been that person before. Maybe I just, I've kind of like chilled out a little bit. And I'm not accusing anyone of being uptight, but I'm just saying maybe I've just, kind of been more go with the flow, and I'm not so uptight about that in particular. Okay, number 1, and I did kind of save the best for last. The rest of this list wasn't really ranked, but this is definitely it. Number 1, play as Superman. Now, here's what I'm kind of thinking of here. I'm kind of thinking of Modern Warfare 2's No Russian mission, where we take over Superman under Brainiac control, and we are playing as Brainiac-controlled Superman and just, like, murking civilians, right? And it's like a No Russian type of mission where we're really setting the stakes, and we're like, oh, we have to stop these guys. I mean, they just killed, like, hundreds of, civilians in an airport. That's kind of what you think after Modern Warfare 2, and then you're like, oh, I have this evil enemy, we have to stop them, and it kind of sets the stages very easy for you. And I think that we could do the same thing here, is like, oh, we're Superman, he's controlled by Brainiac, but he's still nice. But, like, what if we take control of him and the media shows everybody, like, just absolutely murking hundreds of civilians? And he's mind-controlled. Like, I'm not saying Superman is evil. He's just mind-controlled by Brainiac, but it sets the stages for the power, and it sets the stages of how the Suicide Squad eminently needs to take him out. But even just some way to even play as Superman for, like, 30 seconds or a minute, I really want to see the precursor to Rocksteady's inevitable Superman game that I know for them, they're probably thinking, oh my god, that is way, way, way far down the line. This game is still 2 years away, which is true, but yeah, I think down the line we will be getting a Superman game from them, and I'd love to get a sneak peek of what that gameplay could look like. Okay, guys, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.